recording now, so listen, you guys, what we want to do is we want to talk about how you guys are doing, not only spiritually during this thing, but also mentally during this thing. And what we want to do is, for just about 30 minutes, honestly, we want to discuss how to get through these kind of times mentally and spiritually. All right. And what can help you get through these times. And so I want to ask you a question. And for those out there listening, I want to ask you to answer this question as well to yourself. What has been your biggest struggle during the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks? What's your biggest struggle? Anybody can answer. What's your biggest struggle during the last 3 or 4 weeks here?
For me, it's just been the relational aspect of it. Not having my students, not being able to go to church and be around other believers, not having my friends to, hang out with, Bill and I, to be able to interact with others, just the relational standpoint all the way around. Gotcha.
Dan?
So mine's a little different, obviously, because Leslie broke her ankle about a week and a half before. In fact, the day she had her surgery was the day that Coweta County Schools said we're done for a while. Mm-hmm. And so we were kind of already quarantined just because she couldn't really go anywhere. And so when I went back to work 2 weeks later, it was like hitting a wall because not that I wasn't paying attention, but I was paying attention to the stuff that was going on at home so much more because I had to help her. I had to make sure the kids were taken care of and all that stuff. So when I got to work, it was like, oh, yeah, I need to learn more about what's going on. So it was kind of like drinking from a fire hose, trying to adjust to all the information that was out there, what was accurate, what was inaccurate, all that kind of stuff. So that was a big hurdle for me.
Yeah. Who else? What's your biggest struggle?
Well, for me, I'm a planner.
Yeah.
I want everything to have a plan. I'd like to have our meals planned out for the next 6 months, but I am a planner, and the whole not knowing has been hard for me.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yep. Anybody else want to share?
For me, go ahead, Jennifer.
I'm sorry. Being at work, I miss my coworkers. I miss my patients. At first, Caroline and I had some battles because she wanted to go out, with her friends, and I had to say no. But she's okay now. She understands.
Leah?
For me, it was battling being sick while being quarantined with the kids. The first 3 weeks, I was, literally in bed, and Brandon was still going to work. And not having a support system that you can call in because everybody's got to be home. So I think that was the biggest struggle for me, is trying to navigate through that and entertain kids from my bed until I was well enough to get up or until he was home. And for me, you guys know, normally I am not one to call in, I'm not one to call in help. But this time I would have gratefully taken some, and it was the time when even people that wanted to couldn't because social distancing. So I think that was the hardest part for me, is just getting through the sick part on my own.
Yeah. I just want to make sure everybody knows that Brandon and Leah both have tested positive for coronavirus. So I don't know if you can do that or not, but they had. And Leah, you've been out sick for how long?
I've been sick since March 9th.
March 9th, yeah.
I was getting better. My back slid a little bit. My breathing's been rough the past 24 hours or so. I did go get chest x-rays today, and they looked okay, though. There's definite improvement, so that's good, because I was worried about scarring and things. But they called me in an inhaler to help. They forgot to sign the paper correctly, and they won't be back in office until Monday. So, because it's Good Friday. But the x-rays are looking good, and that's really my biggest concern, was just, making sure there was no long-term scarring or anything like that.
Leslie, what about you? Biggest struggle?
I think for me, like Dan said, I fell on the 7th. So the 7th through the 15th is kind of a blur. And I went back to work, teleworking, because my supervisor had already prepared that for the whole office.
Yeah.
So other than not seeing my coworkers on a daily basis, I see all my participants on Zoom every week. I talk to my case manager, who I spend like every day with, all day long on the computer. So although it's not that face-to-face interaction, I'm still seeing people.
Yeah.
And my girls are home.
Yeah. I think the biggest struggle for me is not having Sunday mornings with everybody. That's really tough because that is the highlight of my week. I really look forward to Sunday mornings, and I really look forward to being with everyone, and that's been really difficult for me.
And he gets to preach to me and Blake.
Yeah, like 4 people.
funny.
Yeah, 4 or 5 people. Dan was there, been there the last couple times, and they all spread out on different sides. They're like, all right, where do you want me to set this week? And so, okay, he's over here, he's over, so I can have pivot points where I can look at. But it's been very difficult as far as just not having people around, because I'm a very social person. And so I can really relate to what Michelle said about not having, and Jennifer said about people. So I guess what Wendy and I want to do is talk a little bit about this in a spiritual and a mental, because it's very easy when you get out of routine, and whenever you are isolated, and whenever you there's no foreseeable end, and all those things, they really can add up. And so what we want to talk about for a little bit is ways to overcome that, ways to overcome those things adding up. Because a lot of people, and I've heard from some people myself, a lot of people are starting to feel depressed. They're starting to be down. They're starting to feel unmotivated. They're starting to feel anxious. There's some anxiety going on with the unknown, and those things are all side effects of what we're going through. And so, Wendy, why don't you talk a little bit about how that kind of happens when you're out of your routine, and how you can slip into that anxiety, or you can slip into that depression.
Well, there's a huge link between your spiritual and your mental and your physical well-being. And when you are neglecting one, you're actually neglecting all of them. So, that's what we're definitely tempted during this time to not realize. And we're trying to take care of one aspect of our life, and forget to take care of other aspects. And that's why, anxiety is an emotional thing, but it causes ulcers, for example, which is a physical thing. I have a thyroid disorder, and it is a physical issue, but some of the side effects, depression is a side effect. So there's a huge link. And then spiritually, obviously, our spiritual life will affect us mentally and emotionally. So there's a huge connection between the three that a lot of times we forget about.
Yeah, we forget that our makeup as a human being, being body, soul, and spirit, our makeup is connected. And when we get out of whack in one of those things, it kind of gets because, for instance, if you get out of whack in your mental or your emotional state, if you experience anxiety, depression, it's very difficult to motivate yourself to want to go and feed your spiritual life, feed your physical body as it relates to exercise or nutrition, or it's very difficult to do that. But the truth of the matter is that it's very difficult to do that, and we really, and I won't jump ahead, but we really need to continue to do those things. That's a huge thing. Have you guys, is there one thing that you guys did before this, maybe a routine, something that you do every day that you have been doing that you probably didn't need to do necessarily? I mean, there was no rush to do it, but you did it anyway because of the routine. Is there anybody got anything like that?
We've made our bed every day.
Every day we've made our
Every day
we've made our bed. Anybody got something like that?
Well, I
Make
started
coffee every day.
setting my
Go ahead.
alarm again. I'm sorry.
Go
You
ahead.
started setting your alarm.
Yeah, I set my alarm and I get up and I get dressed. Whoops.
You're good.
I don't know where I went to. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm trying to, because I have a thyroid issue too, and stress really, causes it to, get overblown. And I'm just afraid if I don't do those things, that when it's time to go back to work, it's going to be difficult. So I'm trying to get up and trying to, do some things around the house. And, my situation was a little bit different. I kind of went into a valley right before. I've told some of y'all about some of it. And so I've kind of enjoyed having the time to really get into God's word and listen to him. And he has really been revealing some things that I should have learned a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Brandon, what about you?
I made coffee every day.
Every day.
He still sets an alarm every day too.
Yeah.
mhm.
Not at 4:30, not a 4:30 a.m. alarm like he would if he was going to work, but he still sets an alarm and gets up every day and makes his coffee.
Yeah. Why is that important, you guys? Anybody want to answer that? Right? Anybody want to answer that? Why
For
is
us, we just have to beat the kids and have coffee before they wake up.
Yeah, I know, right? You have to beat the kids up.
Yeah, that security of normalcy.
It is. It's the known. It's the normal.
Yes.
You can't control what's going on outside of your home, but you can, with God's help, you can control what happens with yourself and your schedule. Are you with me? You can do that. God's really given me a word, not a word like, some kind of prophetic word, but an actual word for this whole time. And I don't know why, but I keep coming back to it. And I think I've said it almost every week in the message. Every day when I get up, I literally say this, and this is not something I would usually do. Wendy knows I wouldn't usually go through this kind of routine, but every day I get up and I say, I have an opportunity. And I literally say to myself, what do I have the opportunity to do today? What do I have the opportunity to do today? Because our mindsets play a huge role in how our day goes. Our attitudes play a huge role. And you can look at this whole time. You can look at this whole time in two ways. You can look at it as I want to be at work and I want to be hanging out with my friends and I want to, and you could go on and on and on and on and on, missing out on. Or you can look at it another way. Yes, Blake, his senior year got cut short, but Blake goes off to college in August, and we have an opportunity right now to spend tons of time with him before he goes off to college. We have that opportunity. I have an opportunity to do some things in the house because I can't go visit people in the hospital. If I talk to people, I can't meet with them. I got to do it over a phone or Zoom. I did that today.
The next time y'all come to our house for small group, you're not going to recognize
Yeah. Wendy's painting some, and we're doing some painting. But we have an opportunity to do some of these things that we have either neglected or said we didn't have time to do.
Yep.
And in order for you to not fade into that negativity, fade into that, I really think opportunity needs to be the word. It's like, yeah, I have an opportunity to do this. I have an opportunity to hang out with my wife and son. We always say, it was like, I'm thankful we like each other. It was like, man, if we had a bad look, really bad. Because it was like, I'm thankful we like each other, but it's like, I have an opportunity to do that. Here's the truth of the matter. Until we both retire, there's probably not going to be this kind of opportunity again.
not this
I
much
mean, you
time.
think about it, there's not probably. And so we have to say, okay, well, what can we do with this opportunity? One of the things, and I guess, Wendy, talk about how setting, because I want you to talk about setting daily goals.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how setting daily goals affects your mental health. Setting daily goals, things you want to accomplish. How does that, and having a plan?
Yeah.
How does that help?
Well, it's one thing when you're working, and you just want one day to lay in bed and never get out of your PJs and have that break. And those days are really nice to have every once in a while. But having multiple days in a row can really just slip you into a funk if you're not careful. And there is something crazy about how easy it is to lose motivation and how hard it is to get back to it. And when you have days in a row of doing nothing and you're in your PJs, it's so hard to get back into the swing of, and you want to, because you want to feel like you've done something, but you completely lack that motivation. So there's just something about the mental aspect of having even if it's something little, something that you accomplished today, something that you did that bettered you or somebody else in some way, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were created to do. We weren't created to lay around in our PJs and watch Netflix all day.
That's right. We were created to go out and hunt and plant and harvest, and that's what we were created to do. And so I think the key here is to have a plan. Let me give an example. Wendy and I decided this would be a great opportunity. Back in the fall, we did a program called 75 Hard, and we got in a little bit better shape. Wendy more than me, but we still got in good shape. Started getting in better shape, losing some weight and stuff. And we decided that this time would be a fantastic time to do this because it makes you focus, it makes you exercise, it makes you read. The portion of it is reading. A portion of it is water and focus on water and not sitting around drinking sweet tea or whatever all the time. And it makes you focus on
your, you pick a diet plan and follow it.
Yeah,
so
but
it sets focus on what you're doing.
And it sets a daily goal.
You have to be very intentional.
Yes, you have to be intentional. And the truth of the matter is if we're not intentional, you know what we're going to do? We're going to sleep until 9:30, 10. We're going to get up and we're going to drag throughout the day and get on Facebook and see and turn on the news and see all the bad stuff. And we're going to continually have that. And you will spiral down into something that you don't want to be in or a place you don't want to be in instead of getting up and actually having an opportunity to do things. A lot of you guys have told me personally, you've said, I want to learn how to study the Bible. I want to learn how to grow in my faith. I want to learn more about God. Guess what? You have a prime opportunity right now to do that. You have a prime opportunity everyone here has YouTube. You can get on YouTube and look up videos about different books of the Bible. You can get your Bible out. You can go to Tony Evans or another preacher. If you get really bored, you can go to me, but you can go to different pastors and you can read and you can study. And you have an opportunity to do that right now. You can see it as that, or you can see it as all these things have been taken away from me. Does that make sense? And if you approach it as these things have been taken away from me, I believe you're going to waste this opportunity, and you're going to waste the ability for you to grow spiritually. You have an opportunity to grow spiritually during this thing. You have an opportunity. I said this the other day. I said you have an opportunity. All the times you've said you'll trust God and never had to, you have an opportunity now to trust God because you have to. And it's your choice. You can decide to do it or you can decide to not do it, but it's your choice. But for us, and listen, we're not naturally people who just like to, walk 4 or 5 miles a day. That's not who we are. And we're not naturally, I don't want to drink water all day. I don't like doing that, or drinking, a gallon of water a day. I hate doing that.
And I like to eat an entire pan of brownies.
Yeah, I mean, that's who we are, man. But we decided that instead of letting those short-term little burst of feel goods, I'll call it a feel good, instead of letting that take over, and then immediately an hour later feeling guilty or feeling bad because you're back where you were because your blood sugars went up and went down, or you quote unquote blew it again today. Instead of doing that, pivot toward what your goals are. Pivot toward what you feel like God would have you do. Tell me this: how are you guys keeping in contact with those people that are out of your house, like your kids or your friends at work, or how are you guys doing that? How are y'all keeping contact with them?
Zoom.
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 FaceTime.
So here's a question.
Yes.
Here's a question. I've gotten to where, and I think it drives Leah crazy, but I've gotten to where I'll call people sometimes, or I'll text, but sometimes I'll FaceTime. I'll just FaceTime them during this. I'll just FaceTime them.
Yeah.
And
he's not the only one of my coworkers has started doing that.
Yeah, and I think Leah doesn't like me FaceTiming her.
But if you decline it, he calls again. So just say,
oh,
We're laying in bed.
we were laying in bed. He didn't care.
Fine, forget that mess. And then I called her right back like I didn't even notice. But I noticed. But here's a question: Why are avenues, instead of not just talking on the phone, why are avenues like this important? Anybody want to answer that?
You feel more connected to somebody when you can see them.
Yes.
Yeah, you do. You feel more connected with someone when you can see them. You feel more connected to someone when you can see their facial expressions, or you can see their, where they are or what they're doing. And hey, listen, you guys, that feeds you. That is both emotional and spiritual food. Why is it emotional food? Why is that emotional food? What do you guys think?
We need human connection. We thrive on that.
We do. We need human connection. It's spiritual food because, as God said in Genesis, in the early part of Genesis, he said, it is not good for man to be alone. It's not good for man to be alone. The scripture says that he looked for a suitable helper and none could be found. And so he created woman to be in a relationship with man. We were made for relationship. And so talking on the phone is fine. Texting is okay, I guess. But this kind of stuff, while you may not understand that you need it, you need it. And I encourage you to do it. Listen, everybody can get Zoom for free. You get the basic plan, 45 minutes. You got 45 minutes. It's free. So you need it a lot more than maybe you realize you need it. And so on a spiritual level, you need it as much as you need it on an emotional level. Let me hear from you guys. What are some things that you guys have done? Hey, sweetie. What are some things that you guys have done?
Go play.
Honestly, for me, I can't, and this is not to discredit anybody that feels this way, but I, the whole time, have been like, great. All I ever want is for us to be home together. I personally, my anxieties come from the outside. So I have social anxiety. I have anxiety, about things that could happen while the kids are at school, things like that. All of mine have been cured during this time.
Yeah.
So I've just genuinely been enjoying us all being home. I actually worry more for me about how I'm going to feel once I have to go back out there, and put pants on and interact with people and send the kids back to school. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I'm already praying about it, about how I'm going to, go back into the normal routine. But I just have been enjoying it. I mean, it's like summer vacation, but where people don't expect us to do things. I mean, I love it. There's no sports to be at. No, I mean, we're just hanging out and watching movies and doing all the things that we always want to do, but don't have time for. So I just genuinely am enjoying it and feel like it's been, for us at least, it's been a blessing. We don't have the financial worries. I mean, hopefully that doesn't change. But we're not worried financially, and everyone all of our closest people are here because our kids are young and live with us.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of socializing outside of y'all, band practice, stuff like that.
Yeah, y'all are all of our people, so we got y'all still on Zoom.
Yeah, I know, right?
and then we got our kids and our animals here. We're pretty happy.
I'm looking at it like my schedule just got freed up.
Yeah.
All that stuff I was neglecting or didn't have time to do, I've got all the time to do it now.
Yeah.
Well, and we keep telling the kids too, like, this is going to be something that you're telling your kids about, and you're going to be like, and I honestly think, now granted, I don't know what's going to happen in the world. I can't predict that. I can pray about it. I'm not going to worry about it, but I am going to pray that there aren't huge long-term repercussions. But as far as how things are right now, I feel like our kids are going to tell their kids about this awesome time when they got to, play games. And I mean, even when the power was out, what did we do? We played with flashlights. Other than worrying about our groceries, we enjoyed it. I feel like they're going to tell their kid, and it's when they relay this down the road, it's not going to be, oh my gosh, this horrible time we didn't leave the house. I feel like it's going to be a positive thing when they're retelling it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. What else are you guys doing? Who else?
Hey, Barry, it's Bill.
Yeah.
My job.
Bill, you do know I can see you, right? I know it's Bill.
He's used to all these calls on his work where they don't have Zoom.
No.
And they just have to say, hey, this is.
Yeah, we're old school. Like a little picture of a microphone pops up and it's got your name in it.
Yeah.
I sell metal studs. We're not high tech or anything like that. But my job kind of forces me to travel a lot. And so it's been nice being home. Michelle and I, from the time we got married, were away from our families. We were always somewhere else because we moved so many times. So it was just her and I until we had the kids. And then, even then it was just us. So this has been kind of normal for us. I mean, it's been okay. It's been fine. I do miss the camaraderie of being in an office, and my plant is still running fully. So I'm still dealing with the day-to-day stuff. So my days are filled. I get up and do what I normally do, but I'm doing it from the kitchen table instead of my office. So it's been pretty good. But thankfully, I've got her who forces me to exercise. We run, we go to Peachtree City, run around the lake. We do that a lot and do different things that are keeping us, at least somewhat mentally stable. But it hasn't been bad. I'm like, yeah, I think it's been kind of nice. And our older son lives downtown, but he was with us the first 3 weeks of this, and then he went back home. And our younger son lives in Brooklyn, and he's been home now for 3 weeks. So he's past the stage where, he would have been infected or anything, and he's fine. Got the 2 dogs, and we're just kind of chilling. Yeah. I've got to do a little turkey hunting and just having fun. So it's been good. It's been good. We're
Dan,
fortunate.
What about you, Dan?
My routine has changed very little. I work from home 2 days a week, and I go to work 3 days a week. I work for a credit union, and we're essential. So even the graphic designer has to work. So it hasn't really changed for me. The biggest thing that's changed is church. Not having practice on Thursdays, and not it's at first having the uncertainty of who was I going to have, for the praise team and all that kind of stuff. That's been the biggest change for me, is not doing that the way we were doing it, but we've kind of adjusted to what we're doing now. So everything else is pretty much the same. I just can't go to the store whenever I want or whatever. And we've just dealt with that as best we can.
I hear you. If I were going to ask you guys a question, and it was this, if you had one piece of advice for someone who was watching this, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling stressed, if you feel spiritually disconnected, what would that piece of advice be? Does anyone have something? What would that be if you were to have one thing, said, you know what, this is what I did and it helped me? What would you?
If you have the opportunity, take a walk, go somewhere, get outside,
Yeah,
and
getting
enjoy
outside
the
helps
outdoors.
a lot.
Yeah.
That is so.
Reach out to someone.
Reach out to someone. Get exercise. Take a walk. Leslie, would you say?
I said, if you can walk.
Yes.
If you can walk, if you're not good. If you can
Hey,
walk.
my son's
Michael still
got the Neely thing if you want to scoot
Yeah.
around on that deal.
Yeah.
He's got one.
Oh, you got one.
The
Okay,
exact
good.
one.
Oh, okay, guys.
She's got a knee scooter. I've made her get out of the
does.
house.
Yeah.
I want one.
I get out of the house periodically.
Yeah. Jennifer, you said about your spiritual life and stuff. What's one thing you would encourage people to do spiritually?
Well, I have two devotionals that miraculously they've been lining up pretty close to each other every day. So I look at both of those, and then just get into the scripture that's accompanying both of those, and just praying and listening, and it's been miraculous.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Mine, my thing is the same. And feel like I use this for everything. And I'm sure a lot of people roll their eyes because it sounds cliche, but mine really is when I start to feel overwhelmed or stressed or whatever, I just go through the serenity prayer and just really hear it. Can I control this? Can I control it? If I do, let's have the courage to, change it. If I don't, then let's move on and control what I can control. I mean, I just can't. There's so many things that are out of our realm of control right now that I can't sit there and stress about those. So if I start to, I just go through that. Grant me the serenity, accept that I can't change this thing, figure out what I can change, focus on that.
Yeah. I want to wrap up with this, just to like walk through a day. If you guys are at home and you're sitting at home, and you're trying to figure out how to process this, and it's a lot of information, but the first thing I would say is set an alarm. Set an alarm. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning for no reason. I have no idea. I had an alarm set for 6:30, but I woke up at 5. Set an alarm. The second thing I would tell you is to do the daily routine that you do before you go to work. For instance, this morning, Wendy and I, we had coffee. Wendy, I went upstairs to study. Wendy had quiet time. And I got up, I took a shower, I did all those things, got dressed, everything. I came up to my office and almost like clocked in. And I went through that process. Now, some of you guys may not have that. You may have, so, well, I know, but I've got 2 kids, but do the things that you would normally do. Make up your bed, do your laundry, make sure that you're not letting things go, because the truth is you've got all the time in the world to clean your house, to, fix something that's been broken. You've got that. The next thing I would tell you is to engage spiritually with God every day. You have an opportunity right now to do that. A lot of times you can't do that because you're so busy running out the door, but you have an opportunity to do that right now. So I encourage you to engage spiritually. The next thing is set your mindset that this is an opportunity, not a something that's detrimental, not something that is a negative. I have seen more families together walking through the neighborhood, walking with their dogs, I'm talking about mama, daddy, the whole 9 yards. Most of the time it's just mama. No, daddy's been there too, walking through the neighborhood. So look at it and have a mindset of this is an opportunity. I can grow spiritually, but I can also get things done. And I would tell you on this, one of the first things that Wendy and I did is we sat down on the couch and I was like, all right, we're going to have this time. Let's make a list. We had a long list. Let's make a list of everything we've been wanting to do to the house and everything we've been wanting to do in the house that we can afford. Let's make a list. Cleaning is free. Painting
More
is
than the
cheap.
priority order, and now they're just all on the table.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
keep extending.
But we've got a list, and so today I was like, okay, I'm going to go up and study and write for the first half of the day, and then I'm going, because I don't want to get bogged down with that. So because I usually would go into the office and go to Chick-fil-A and sit and write, but I was like, I'm gonna work on one of the things on my list, and so I focused in on that list, and I got to check one of those things off of the list. But make a list of things that you want to do. Listen, if you have kids, make those kids do chores. Make a chore list for those kids, and make them help. A lot of kids they're wanting to help, but then what I would do is I would go down that list. But most importantly is start your day off with the right mindset. The next thing I would tell you is make sure you're reaching out. Not for these people in the small group because they're already here, but listen, if you're listening to this and you're not engaged in a small group, you are literally on an island right now because you're not plugged into a spiritual. If all you're doing is hearing me Sunday mornings, you're on a spiritual island by yourself. And you need to be engaged in these small groups. And so you can email me or text me. It's Barry at Real Church Coweta. My number is 404-275-3776. Make sure that you are in a small group. Our small group is meeting every week. We usually meet every other week, but we felt like it was so important that we needed the connection that we met every week.
The same with the women's group.
It is.
Every week.
Women's group too. But make a connection and engage in a connection besides, this is important, besides the people that are in your house. All right. Besides the people that are in you may love those people and I love the people in my house, but I need a connection outside of that. And Zoom and those kind of things are free, and and so I want to tell you this as we close. If you are feeling down, if you are feeling, some people, this may have triggered. I've got a couple of friends that this has really triggered their depression. And I've shared this with you before. I suffer from depression. It has not triggered my depression, but it could. But people suffer from depression. You may need to telecall or telehealth your doctor and say, hey, listen, my depression's flared up. There is no shame in you getting a medication called in for a short time period of 2 to 3, 4 months. There's no shame in that. If you don't think God created medication, you're wrong. And so you may need to do that. You may need to take the next step and say, you know what? This is really bothering me. I need to telehealth a counselor. I know for a fact the counselor I refer to people is doing telehealth. You may need to do that too. I want to encourage you to do, and we did a sermon series about this, do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. So set some goals, you guys. You have an opportunity right now to do great things. Set some goals. Make sure, like Bill said, get out and walk. Get out and exercise. Plan your day out. Don't let life come to you. You attack life and be intentional, I think is really good. So anybody?
Also, yeah, I was going to add something because I do have, and I'm sure we all do, I do have a lot of friends that are essential workers. So I think that it's important that we all are purposeful in checking on them.
Yes.
Because they have a lot of the same stresses that we do, but then a million times more because they're worried about being infected. They don't have the luxury of being home safe and sound with their kids, right. Or with their family. So
yeah, I tried to get them to let me work from home the whole time, and they wouldn't. So it bothers me.
Yeah. You got to people that have to be around it. So
check on your Dans of the world. Check on those.
Your Dan,
he needs it.
Dan, are you okay? Okay, we checked on him.
Right now, I'm good.
Dan, this is Leah. No, I'm just kidding, Bill.
Hey, it's easy over there. I know I'm 80, but still.
But listen, you guys, be intentional. Be intentional. I have intentionally tried to do acts of kindness to people. And it's easy to go on your Facebook. If you love someone and appreciate them, throw their picture up on Facebook and say, this person's awesome. I love them. Here's what they do. do that. I did that yesterday for Jeremiah and for Chandler. They're both working at Publix, different Publix, but they're working at Publix. And they're both going in almost every day, working and putting themselves out there to make sure we've got food and all the necessities we need. And so if you know people like that, man, put a shout out to them. Tag Real Church in it and tell us to pray for them, and we'll do it. I'll share it, and we'll do that. So, but go ahead, Jennifer.
Marla is having to go in some. The dentist and the assistants are rotating for emergencies.
Yeah.
And,
So she's
and
on
Caroline goes in twice a month to work at the nursing home.
Yeah. So make sure you're recognizing those people. But guys, listen, the biggest thing is what Wendy said, and it's this: be intentional. Be intentional and attack life. Don't let life bowl you over. All right. So, all right, you guys, listen, I appreciate you guys all tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this. Hope it wasn't too long, but I appreciate you guys joining in, and we'll talk to you soon.